Hi guys, Unleash Code and welcome to another Falcon BMS video. Today's video, really different to normal. This is just a chilled out chat with you guys actually. I'm sitting here drinking coffee and I'm not going to edit this or anything. I'm just going to put this up as is. So quite a lot of you guys have asked me in the past, could you see a tac view of one of my flights? So I'm going to do that today. It's probably not the best video to do a tac view on. Because of the type of flight that it was. This wasn't a massive flight with many of us. This was just me and Lorik. We hooked up that night. We decided to fly. It was all lighthearted. We did about a 5-6 minute brief and we discussed the basics, you know, what the targets were, the terrain, how we're doing at low level, our routing, and so ingress, egress, our situational awareness, what was around us, what our threats, our procedures for air-to-air interception, and all of the basic stuff. And we were done in 6 minutes, and we're just out for a light-hearted flight. It got a bit serious once we were out there, but generally it was just a nice casual flight. That's the thing is with the briefing, 6 minutes, that's absolutely ample briefing when you're flying with a guide day in, day out. Lorik knows exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly what Lorik's going to do. We trust each other implicitly. And if for any reason I'm not where I'm supposed to be or Lorik's not where I'm supposed to be, it's communicated and we know how to look out for each other and what to expect. So I'm rambling, but let's get on with it. This is literally at the point of us rejoining. I'm going to put this up to 4 times because it's pretty boring otherwise. You can see we've just taken off from the fleet and we are now heading to steer 2, and at that point we're going to be fencing in, and we're just like right now he's just turning right so we can just find our entry point into this valleys that we can do our job. We know there's SA10s, SA2s and SA3s in the area. So we're just about to go NOE, which is low level, do a low level ingress. We're still feet wet, meaning we're over the water, and we're just about to commit to our NOE run. So here we go. Lorik drops down. You'll see I drop off the back a bit, and I just give a bit more spacing than normal. That's normal. If you're going NOE, give each other a bit of spacing for the movement in the terrain and the predictability of what the other guy's going to do. It also gives him the movement, Lorik the movement to do what he needs to do to get around some of the terrain. So I switch sides. I find it easier to look at the right side of my cockpit and fly. I can do it the other side, it doesn't really matter, but just naturally Lorik also would expect me on the left. That's how I usually fly with him. He knows, I've already told him that I switch side. It's not something you just do and don't tell anyone about. He needs to know. So that's something that I would have said to him, but I'm going alternate, switching sides, or he would have ordered me to go alternate and switch sides. Now we're just flying the terrain. We're keeping it nice and low. We're radar off, so we've got our override switches on, the MFD, and that prevents our radar emitting. And you'll see that occasionally Lorik will pop a flare. That's just to keep me with visual. See, he's done another one there, and that way we can keep track just in case. Like here, we're going between mountains. There's a bit of separation between us. He's got his route in. I've got my route in. We're flying our pass, but we're staying continuously with visual on each other. Okay. So here we are turning in for steer 5, which is our IP point. Once we get to IP, I'll slow all this down. We're just nailing it in, and here we are. That's it. We're IP turning in for target. That's him turned in for his target. I've turned in for mine. So at this point, it's literally just lining it up, getting it all right, making sure everything's set. We're already fenced in at this point. Well before we were fenced in way back at steer 2 or steer 3. Steer 2 because we were fenced in before we went NOE. And This is literally just lining the target up, making sure that we're all set and good to go. And Lorik's got his SA3 batch to get, which are just up over the hill, and mine is this little bubble here. That's what I'm going to be taking. Now you can see the terrain that's slightly elevated. This actually caught Lorik out. Lorik had a bit of a harder run than I did, just through, I think, really terrain. The terrain played not in his favor really, and it was slightly different to what we expected when we reconned the area before the flight as well. And Lorik wanted to do a loft and didn't get the chance. He was sort of task saturated at the time and just overflew his target. I did go in for the loft on mine, but unfortunately the bomb, as you'll see, was a dead duck. Well, it did some damage, but it didn't do the kill. Let's do this in real time. Let's not even do two times. So right now I've just lined up, getting myself ready, and having a look, making sure everything's ready to go, and I'm in on the strike. I crest the hill, you'll see me pop up, and I took a big chance here. I instantly got locked and launched upon, and I continued with the loft, which is extremely risky to do. I really don't suggest you do it normally. You can see instantly I've got an SA3 being launched to me. That one goes right underneath my tail. And then there's another one inbound and I'm bombs off. You can see that one's just gone out the back. And right at this point, what I've done, I've arched over the top. I've done my loft. Now I've lost a lot of airspeed up here at the top. You just do. And this is something that Lorik and I were discussing as well, especially with the Harriers, is you really lose a lot of airspeed at the top. And our decision to probably do future strikes with, instead of LDGPs, which are the low drag general purpose bombs, we would use air bombs, which would actually, if you look at Lorik, see Lorik, he didn't make his loft, he just went straight over the target. Let's see if I can back that up a bit. He wanted to loft, but like I say, I think the terrain caught him out. Something happened anyway for Lorik, and he ended up just flying over. Now, if he had airs, he could have just been a couple of 100 feet higher, and he could have got his target there. And it would have been a lot safer than what I'm doing. You can see the amount of SAM launches he got, yeah, compared to the amount of SAM launches I got. And I got very lucky at the top that the first one didn't hit. Okay, so let's carry on with the run again. Let's just speed that up in the loft. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm diving down. This is really just building up that airspeed again, getting all that airspeed that I need again, breaking away from target. I don't want to break right. I'm going to be flowing into Lorik's issues over here, or even worse, Lorik could have come left off target if he'd done the same, and we could be in a situation where we're going to cross over each other's paths and maybe hit each other. So I break hard left, dive down and away, and this is going to give me airspeed and a bit of breathing room between my target as my bomb does a lovely dive down. You're going to see some more SAMs get launched at me here, but I know the terrain here, I'm kind of low to the terrain, and none of these are of any threat really. You can see I hit, it just did some damage. Unfortunately with Tacview, all these ZPUs and SA3s and stuff, they're kind of masking. There's actually a low blow in there, and that's the radar system that we're looking to get. Okay, so at this point I'm just doing a hard radius turn. I've got my eyes on target the whole time, and I'm just flowing round. I know I'm low to the terrain, and then I decide, okay, target's been missed. We both had this commit that if we went for target and we didn't get it, not to go back round for a second time on it because of fuel constraints and everything else. It was safer just to break right and engage our main target. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just flowing around and getting the line up, and I'm looking at the target, realizing I'm fairly clear, and then I break right in towards the main target. Now, unfortunately, the main target It's problematic for both Lorik and I as well. You see Lorik's getting SA2s chucked at him there, and I'm flowing in for target, and literally target is just tucked in behind this hill. I've got some more SAMs being launched at me, I think, somewhere. Lorik's recommitting for another go at his target. He had to break off because of the SAMs, and him and I are actually getting pretty close to a crossover here, which is quite dangerous, but I think I spot it, and there you go. I break off to the right and reline up. More SAMs coming in. I've got a SAM launch there for me. This is me just going over target right now, and I instantly knew, okay. Sakes, that was close. I'm sort of flying over target now, if I remember rightly. Sakes, that SAM was close. There's another one there. Target was just sat in this hill, so I overflew it. I missed my opportunity to get it. So what I've done now is I've just done a large radius turn. I think Lorik's doing exactly the same. The reason we're not doing a tight radius turn is you don't want to bleed off your energy. You want to keep your speed up. We had the space to do it, and we're probably, I don't know, I'm probably pulling a 4G continuous turn here, around about 3.5, 4G. I don't know if we can see it. Let's have a little look. Let's get the data up. Yeah, 3.9, 4G continuous right turn, level, just to keep that. I've got ground speed up. It's not calculated airspeed, it's ground speed there. But just keeping the speed up. I don't want to bleed it down. So we can make a nice fast pass over target to get these bombs off. You don't want to get slow when you've got SAMs going off left, right and center. You get high, you get slow, you get dead. It's that simple. So nice radius turn, 4G, 3.5G. Lorik's got tons of shit flying in it. And here we go. We're both in on a strike at exactly the same time. Neither of us were actually aware. This looks all coordinated. Bombs off there, but believe it or not, this looks beautiful and poetic, but A, it's not safe, and B, we were actually unaware. Lorik had more awareness than I did of being bombs off on the targets together. And it made for interesting. We nailed that target. So that's him. He's broken off. He's breaking left a bit there to give me a bit of space, because he knows that right now I'm on the radio to him talking about shall I go for my initial target that I missed. I've got a second target opportunity. I still had the one bomb under the wing. And he's like, if you feel good, go for it. So that's me just lining it up now. And I go in for another loft again. Lorik's moved over. He knows that he's got this patch here he's got to squeeze through, and he doesn't want to fly into my path as he knows I'm in the loft. He starts pulling in towards me, and then he breaks off again, you'll see. There's my bomb off. And once again, I just break hard right away from Lorik. And there's a SAM coming straight in. And I just get left around the threat range. I think that SAM's going to go for my bomb, isn't it? Be interesting. Okay, so there's a bomb coming in, and this time it gets target. Boom, low blows actually in the SA3 there. Okay, so now this is all about just egressing, getting the heck out of Dodge. See, it's a pretty dangerous and busy place here. So what we're doing now is just finding our way through the valleys and rejoining. My job is to get off Lorik's wing as fast as possible. He doesn't need to have to worry about me knowing where am I still mucking about around the back here, where have I gone? You know, it's my job, get on his wing as fast as possible. And then the minute I call visual, he's instantly in his head at rest as well, that I've got visual, I know where he is, I can get to him, and we're going to be flying out of here together. So if anything comes to intercept us or any other threats appear, we can deal with them together, and he can either break in and go for a MiG or something that's trying to intercept us, and he knows that he's got some backup to do that. Okay, so it does make a big difference grouping together and going off your wingman. You can see there's quite a bit of separation between us, but that's, you know, I mean, we're nailing it. I'm doing ground speed of 500 knots there, Lorik's doing 440, 450. And this is just a regroup, and we're staying low, going through the valleys. Speed all this up because this is pretty mundane stuff. Yeah, just flying through. He's popping flares again just to show me where he is. I pop a couple of flares just in case he looks out the back and he sees a flare. He knows then I'm around too. And yeah, it's just an NOE and keeping a bit of spacing again because we're NOE. I'm not right on his wing. It gives him the freedom to move if he needs to, but he knows exactly where I am at the same time. And it does exactly the same for me. It gives me freedom to move and I can see him as well. Speeding it up again is us just flowing out. Using the terrain to our best advantage till we get feet wet. Once we get our feet wet, we start the climb again, but unfortunately we get a mud 10 up in the RWR. You don't muck about with mud 10s. If you get a mud 10 in your RWR, hit the deck. Unless you know exactly where it is. If you know exactly where it is and you know that you're out of range, then fine. But otherwise, I would be going pretty defensive straight away. You never know with a mud 10. If it's come up, you have to assume it's launched. That's the way that we operate. And that's if you get a mud 10, you don't know about it, it suddenly appeared. You've got to assume that it's launched. So we hit the deck again. This is us, feet wet, and there's the climb, and we're sort of just chilled out now, just having a chat, and then Lorik will call mud 10, and you'll see that I break off. Here we are, chit chat, and mud 10, he's called it. So I've gone straight away NOE. He's left me some spacing and gone NOE himself. And now we're just flying back to the carrier, which for some odd reason was having an epic battle by itself. I don't know what they were shooting at, but they didn't like something. Somalian pirates. No idea. Speaking of that, I just finished the Somalia campaign. I did the Strait, which is Chaos's campaign. Highly recommend it. Really enjoyed it. Not a lot of video came out of it. I don't know why. Just busy. I flew a lot of it single player actually. All of us have been pretty busy. Lorik's been busy, and Chaos has been busy, and then I've been flying with other guys as well, doing other stuff. So it's been interesting. But I completed that campaign and thoroughly enjoyed it. They really are shooting just... Oh, they're not really shooting at anything. They're just guns firing. Okay, well, there we go, guys. That's sort of just a run through a Tacview with my sort of mindset as such. I hope it's been helpful. Might just quickly go back. Yeah, I'm going to do that actually. Just really super quick. All the way back to just show you Lorik's run. Like I said before, Lorik's was just a bit more complex and a bit more difficult. He actually had a lot more SAM launchers at him, and I mean, we had 29 SAM launchers in total chucked at us. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but there you go. That's his first run in, straight over target. Okay, yeah, I was saying earlier that we were talking about the LDGP bombs, and that was our plan, was to do the lofts and drop the bombs. in hindsight, both Lorik and I in the debrief sort of discussed that the air bombs would have been a better use. Our initial thoughts were the terrain and everything else left us with a good possibility for a loft, and we wouldn't have to worry about the terrain so much. But in hindsight, I think just flying just a little bit higher and faster with air bombs, Lorik and I decided that that would be our future way of the strikes. The Harrier really does get slow at the top of a loft, and to regain your energy back takes quite a bit of time as well, especially when you're in a hard bank turret. So that was the decision there. As you see with Lorik's low pass there, he could have nailed that. He could have dropped an air bomb, Mark 82 air, straight on the target without even much of a thought about it there. He's missed that, so he's just gone straight to target as planned. And in fact, Lorik's actually done it really well. He's lined up his attack really well. He's lined it up that he goes straight over this target, and he's pretty much straight, just a tiny break to the right, and he's straight onto the main target. And he's missed the target there because he's had to break off. Look at all those SA2s. Multiple SA2s. So he's broken off that main target to save his neck. Don't blame him. A sensible thing to do. He's recommitting with a nice tight turn there. Not too slow though. He's keeping his airspeed up, which is good. Over target again. Missed it again because of that hill. And there he goes. He comes round exactly like I do. More SAMs being launched. We're both in this radius turn here. And he gets his bombs off on target. Alright, there you go. That's it. So I hope that was useful to you guys. I hope you can get something out of it. And it wasn't boring, like I say, it was just me rambling. So hopefully, if you're interested in more videos like this, maybe I'll do some more. I guess it's an unusual one for me anyway. Cheers guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. TTFN.